I still remember the look on Margaret's face when she pointed at the door. Cold, calculated, almost triumphant. "I think it's time for you to leave, Dorothy," she said, her voice dripping with false politeness. Behind her, my granddaughter Emma sat at the kitchen table, tears streaming down her 7-year-old face as her birthday cake, the one I'd spent all morning baking, sat untouched. My son Michael stood there like a statue, his eyes on the floor, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. That hurt more than anything Margaret could say. "But the party hasn't even started," I managed to whisper, my throat tight. "The party is for family," Margaret replied, emphasizing that last word like a knife. "And I've decided we need some boundaries." Boundaries? That word had become her weapon of choice over the past year, ever since she'd convinced Michael to move 3 hours away from me. Every visit became shorter, every phone call more strained, every interaction scrutinized. I looked at Emma one more time, her little hands clutching the stuffed rabbit I'd given her that morning. "I love you, sweetheart," I said. "Grandma," she started, but Margaret cut her off. "Say goodbye to Grandma, Emma." I gathered my purse and the gift bags I'd brought, feeling like a stranger in what used to feel like a second home. As I walked to my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition, I made a decision. Margaret wanted boundaries, she'd get them, but not the kind she expected. For the next 6 months, I disappeared from their lives. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. When Michael finally called, sounding worried, I kept it brief and polite. "I'm just giving everyone the space Margaret wanted," I said calmly. "I hope you're all doing well." "Mom, I didn't mean," he started, but I cut him off gently. "It's fine, sweetheart, I understand. Take care of your family." What they didn't know was that I wasn't sitting at home feeling sorry for myself. I was planning. I'd spent 30 years as a real estate agent before retiring, and I'd saved wisely. I'd also spent those years building connections, making friends, and learning that the best revenge isn't anger, it's success. I started with Emma's school. A few discreet conversations with the PTA president, whom I'd known from my volunteer days, revealed that the school desperately needed funding for their arts program. I wrote a check, a generous one, and specified it should fund a scholarship in Emma's name for underprivileged children interested in music. Emma had always loved piano, something Margaret had dismissed as not practical. Next, I contacted Michael's workplace. Years ago, I'd sold a house to one of the senior partners at his law firm. One lunch meeting later, and I'd endowed a mentorship program for young attorneys, with Michael being named as one of the inaugural mentees. The recognition came with a significant professional development stipend and, more importantly, visibility within the firm. But the piece de resistance was the community center. Margaret had always fancied herself a socialite in their small town, serving on various committees and hosting charity events. She loved the prestige, the attention, the way people looked up to her. So when the community center announced a major renovation funded by an anonymous donor, everyone was buzzing about who it could be. The new wing included a state-of-the-art children's library, a music room, and an art studio. At the dedication ceremony, which I learned about through my network, they unveiled a plaque, "The Emma Rose Children's Wing, donated in honor of a beloved granddaughter by her grandmother." My phone rang 30 minutes after the ceremony ended. "Mom," Michael's voice was thick with emotion, "what did you do?" "I invested in my granddaughter's future," I said simply, "and her communities." "Margaret is, she's what, Michael?" There was a long pause. "She's crying. She said she didn't know, she didn't understand how much Emma meant to you." "Of course she means everything to me, she's my granddaughter." "Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you fight back when she asked you to leave?" I took a deep breath, because I'm not interested in fighting with my family, but I'm also not going to sit quietly while I'm erased from my granddaughter's life. I can respect boundaries while still showing up for the people I love. Margaret wanted me out of your house? Fine, but she can't keep me out of Emma's heart or her future. Another pause, then Michael's voice, barely a whisper, "Can you come to dinner next Sunday?" Is that what you want, or what Margaret's willing to tolerate? It's what we all want, Mom. Emma's been asking about you constantly. She keeps that rabbit you gave her on her bed every night. My eyes stung with tears I'd been holding back for months. "In Margaret?" I asked. "She wants to apologize, she knows she was wrong." I thought about it for a moment. Part of me wanted to say no to make them feel what I'd felt, but that's not who I was, and it's not the example I wanted to set for Emma. Tell her she doesn't need to apologize, I said. But she does need to understand that I'm Emma's grandmother and nothing will change that. I'll respect your household, your rules, your privacy, but I won't be erased, I won't be dismissed. And I won't stop investing in Emma's life, whether that's through hugs and cookies or scholarships and libraries. I understand, Michael said. And Mom, I'm sorry, I should have stood up for you, I should have said something that day. Yes, I agreed, you should have, but you're saying something now and that matters too. That Sunday, I drove those 3 hours with butterflies in my stomach. When I pulled up to their house, Emma came running out before I'd even parked, the stuffed rabbit clutched in her arms. Grandma, she shrieked, launching herself at me as soon as I opened the car door. I held her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo, feeling her small heart beating against mine. Margaret stood on the porch, her face pale, her hands clasped in front of her. She looked smaller somehow, less formidable than I remembered. Dorothy, she said as I approached, I owe you an enormous apology. You owe Emma a relationship with her grandmother, I corrected gently. That's what matters here. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I was threatened by how much she loved you, how much Michael still needed you. I thought I had to compete, had to prove I was enough. I was wrong. I looked at this woman my son had chosen, the mother of my granddaughter, and I saw her clearly for perhaps the first time, not as an adversary but as someone struggling with her own insecurities. There's enough love to go around, I said. You don't have to compete with me, Margaret. We're on the same team. We both want what's best for this family. She hugged me then, awkward and tearful, and I hugged her back. That evening, we ate dinner together, the whole family, plus the boundaries we'd all learned to respect. Emma told me about school, about the new library with her name on it, about how all her friends thought having a grandmother like me was the coolest thing ever. Margaret and I cleared the dishes together, working in comfortable silence. As we loaded the dishwasher, she said quietly, You could have destroyed me socially. The anonymous donor thing, everyone would have been talking about how I drove you away. I don't want to destroy you, I replied. I just want to love my granddaughter. She nodded, understanding. When I left that night, Emma hugged me tight and whispered, Will you come back next week? Every week that you'll have me, I promised. And I did, not as a conquest, not as revenge, but as a grandmother who learned that sometimes the best way to fight for your place in someone's life isn't to fight at all. It's to show up, consistently and lovingly, in ways that can't be ignored or erased. Margaret got her boundaries, but she learned that walls can have doors, and sometimes the people you push away are the ones strong enough to come back, not with anger but with grace.